I'm going to talk about 4 mistakes you might be making with your real estate website if you are a solo agent or you're a team lead and your goal is to get more leads and close more deals from your website. Now, if you're making one or a couple of these mistakes, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I would like to give you some alternatives so that you can get more bang for your buck when it comes to the effort you're putting into your website. By the way, welcome. My name is Jacob, and on this channel, I talk about how to do SEO in the real estate industry. Let's get right to it. Number 1, I'm just going to come out and say it, using your brokerage-provided website. The biggest issue I have when agents invest time and energy into the website their brokerage gives them is that you do not really own or control this website. You can edit it, you can add stuff to it, you can put your articles on there, but that website is an asset that I'm betting you do not own. Your brokerage owns it. And with these brokerage provided websites, I view them as like a glorified business card. Sure, they look cute, they make you look professional, but they don't really do anything for your business. And they are very cookie cutter. When every agent in that brokerage gets the exact same looking website, sure, maybe you can customize the layout and the homepage, but at the end of the day, it is the exact same content on these websites 90% of the time. That is not the website you want to have. And I know you might feel very committed to your brokerage and think I am never going to leave, but I think you should plan your business as if someday you might leave. You might go to a brokerage that doesn't exist yet. You might decide you want to hold your own license. Plans can change, but the way you run your business should not, regardless of the brokerage you're with. Now, what am I suggesting you do instead of the brokerage provided website? You need your own website, ideally based on WordPress. Now, there are options if you're looking for a company to give you a templated website specific to the real estate industry. So you might have heard of Agent Fire, Luxury Presence, or Carrot. Those are some okay options. The biggest thing I will say about using a website by one of those companies is that it is simple and easy to get your website going. They help you out a lot with the technical side of things, but you are limited in what you can do. So you might be able to choose your own template and customize some features of it, but you do not have full control over the way your website looks and functions. If you want that, you really have to build your own website on WordPress and either do it yourself or hire a developer and a web designer to help you do that. Now, that can be intimidating, it can be a challenge, it can be technical, and it can be expensive. But here's the thing, a lot of people focus way too much on the design and the look of their website, when in reality, I think you should focus way more on the content. You can have a very simple looking website, but if the content you put on that website is top notch, it will pay off. So out of those 3 website builders that I mentioned, Agent Fire is the one that I have the most experience with, and I'm not trying to roast them, but their support was shit. The website they give you is like a very, very dumbed down version of WordPress, which can make things easy if you don't want to get too technical and you don't want to have the overwhelm of lots of options on your website. But if you want full control and flexibility over how your website looks, they are not a good fit for you. And that is exactly why we canceled our contract with them. Number 2, having an IDX feed. Now, let me clarify this. If you have IDX on your website and you are being intentional about the listing pages you're putting on your site, or maybe you're curating a list of different listings for a specific neighborhood or a specific condo building, and you're doing something intentional with your listings, then that's a different story. But what I see happening a lot is people just slap an IDX on their website because it's a real estate website and every other real estate website has an IDX feed. Just having IDX on your site to have it there, in my opinion, does not benefit you in any way. There are several big issues that IDX creates on your website. First of all, it creates a lot of very thin and duplicate content. And what I mean is that you have hundreds, if not thousands, of individual listing pages that doesn't have a lot of information on there outside of the actual listing features. And these pages are exactly the same as what is on every other brokerage website in your city. It's the same as what you'll see on Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, Trulia. And when it comes to SEO on your website, you really want to try to make your website unique, original. You want to stand out compared to other brokerages and other websites, and IDX is not a good way of doing that. Another issue it causes is that it just adds a lot of bloat to your website. And what I mean by that is that it adds hundreds, if not thousands of pages that more than likely do not get any traffic. They simply exist on your website. They slow down your website speed. And if they are indexed on your website, meaning Google has crawled them and added these pages to the index, you are not sending any good signals to Google by having these pages on your website, basically doing nothing. They don't get clicks, they don't get views. They're just kind of sitting there stagnant on your website. And the last issue with IDX is that it continually just adds and removes pages from your website that you cannot control or differentiate. You will sometimes have pages with errors, with redirects, really large images. They have loading speed issues. Unless you are controlling which pages are on your website and which pages are and are not indexed, having IDX on your website is almost like just adding this monster to the back end of your website that is just going to constantly be adding and removing a bunch of junk from your website that no one actually cares about. So what's my recommendation? Honestly, I don't see a problem with removing IDX from your website, because unless you are monitoring the pages that come on your website from IDX, if it's just sitting there doing its thing and you're not really doing anything with it, I would say just remove it and focus on content instead. So focus on buyer guides, neighborhood guides, seller guides. You can do statistics roundups. Those are especially great for attracting backlinks to your website. Really, what I'm trying to get at here is focus less on having listings on your website and focus more on creating relevant, high quality, and helpful content, written articles and guides for buyers, sellers, or investors to read and learn about the areas you serve. Now, the third mistake I tend to see is agents posting content on their website that is not localized to the areas they serve. And what I mean by that is the articles on your website are just broad, they are generic, and they are not tailored to your specific market. Let me show you an example. So this is Signature Realty. And by the way, this is a site built with Agent Fire. I'm not trying to roast them, but this is a thing I've noticed they do. They'll give you a website and then they'll just give you 4 filler articles of very plain looking content. And so what I mean is, okay, let's look at this one. Why it's important to work with a realtor, okay? If we read this, first of all, I hate the stock images. I'm not a fan of stock images whatsoever. I think they in no way benefit you or the reader of your content, but that's beside the point. If we read this article about why it's important to work with a realtor, it is broad, it is generic. All of this could be said of agents in any market of the world, basically. And so with content like this, there's nothing wrong with it in the sense that it is not inaccurate. I mean, everything here is completely true, it's valid, but it's a lot of fluff. So let's go back, take another look. Things you shouldn't do when buying a home, okay? Again, something like this. This is a very generic article. She's giving some helpful tips here, but this is in no way tailored specifically to, in this case, St. Louis. This is where this agent practices. And if you're trying to rank your content on Google, it is going to be astronomically more difficult to rank for a national search term like mistakes when buying a home, compared to if you were to tailor that to your market, things not to do when buying a home in St. Louis, Missouri. Because adding the location makes it way more relevant to your business, and it will make it easier for your article to be discovered by people searching in your market or searching about your market if they are not located here. So I would say that if you're putting content on your website, at least 90% of it should be somehow related to the city you're in or one of the areas you cover. So let me show you what I would argue is a better way of doing an article like that. Let's look at 42 questions to ask a buyer's agent in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, what you'll see here is that, yeah, these questions could still apply nationally. Doesn't matter if you're in St. Louis or not. These questions are still worth asking, but the examples that are given here and the nuances that are explained are specific to St. Louis, right? We're using St. Louis as an example in every situation. For example, do you practice dual agency? I know that's not legal in every state, but in Missouri, it is legal, and that is a valid question to ask if you're working with an agent in St. Louis or anywhere in Missouri. Now, if you're struggling to figure out, okay, I need to make localized content, what keywords should I actually target? Here are a few buckets of keywords I'd recommend going after. Number 1 is going to be town specific or neighborhood or suburb specific keywords. For example, living in blank, sell my house in blank, best neighborhoods in, new homes in. And with each of those frameworks, the content you put in that article should be very relevant and very focused around just that town or that neighborhood you're talking about. So if you're talking about selling your house in Chesterfield, Missouri, and there are specific disclosures, inspections, or city requirements that exist only in Chesterfield, you want to explain all of that in that article. And that is how you make localized content. You explain all of the nuance and the nitty-gritty details of the location you're talking about. Now, those are more, specific to a town or a suburb. Now, let's talk about some citywide content you can make that is local to your market, but it's more like the general market you service. So, best blank suburbs, moving to blank, pros and cons of living in blank, best neighborhoods in blank. And with these keywords, blank should be the broader market you're in. St. Louis, Chicago, Los Angeles, where you're taking a higher level approach to the broader city, and we're not talking about a specific neighborhood. Those types of articles are great for generating leads, either buyers or sellers who might work with you, but it's also important to create localized content that is meant to attract backlinks to your website from other websites in your market. So when you're making linkable content, think about it like, what would a journalist or researcher or a writer want to look for who is going to be publishing some kind of content online for a news article, their own blog, something like that. So some examples I've done before: wealthiest suburbs of blank, blank home sale statistics, blank growth statistics, blank population statistics. Now, those are just 4 quick examples, but you'll notice the recurring theme with linkable content is a heavy focus on data and statistics. Typically very easy to find using the MLS if your MLS has an API or some kind of data feature where you can go in, you can set your parameters and download a bunch of market data. That is the best way to compile your data and then consolidate that into an article around a specific topic. And by the way, I know that keyword research and identifying the right keywords can be tricky. So if you have questions or any confusion about this, just send me a text or send me an email. Let me know what you think of this video, or just comment down below, really, and I'll do my best to help you out. Another mistake I see when it comes to creating content that is not localized, and this one drives me crazy, is when people use either stock images or they use images that's not even in their market. So let me show you an example of an agent in my market. So she's got her areas of expertise, her neighborhood guides. So right up here, we got Wentzville, we've got Lake St. Louis. And I can tell you right off the bat, that is not Lake St. Louis. That is a lake community somewhere in the world, but that is not Lake St. Louis. Now we can look at the others: Garden Prairie, Chesterfield. Now, I will say, to give her credit, those homes mimic the style of what you'll see in Chesterfield and Garden Prairie, but just based off the fact that Lake St. Louis is not it, I'd be willing to bet neither of those homes is actually true to the area that they're in. St. Charles, not sure where that lake is, but I have a feeling that's probably not St. Charles. St. Louis, okay, that's fair. That is St. Louis, that's the arch. And speaking of images, if you can, it is great to be able to take your own images or hire someone to do it for you. Hire a photographer, someone with a drone, to go out and take good pictures of the core areas you service. Of course, that is harder and more expensive than, for example, using stock images. But if you have your own images, that allows you to have original, unique content on your website because you own those images, and theoretically, no one else has those images. Also, make sure you use alt text on your images so they can actually rank in Google. Because if you have pictures of maybe some smaller neighborhoods or towns around your market that don't really have good pictures on Google, and you put your pictures on your website and you have correct alt text that has the name of that town, your images will rank in Google. And believe it or not, that is also a big way we get traffic to our website. Because if someone is looking for an image, they want to see what this town looks like, they will see our pictures in Google Images, click onto it, and then read our article about that neighborhood. Now, mistake number 4 that I see is unhelpful content that is not optimized. So if you have content on your website that is local to the areas you cover, that's great. You're on the right track. But I would consider asking yourself, okay, is this content actually helpful? Is it thorough? And is it actually optimized to rank on Google? So let me show you 3 examples. And I don't know if this content is AI written or not, but that's beside the point. We have a Ladue neighborhood guide, okay? And so if you look at this page, for example, welcome to Ladue, what to love, local lifestyle, dining, entertainment, shopping, things to do, and that's it. And that's a good start. This content is localized to Ladue. We've got some of the restaurants, we've got some things to do that is all specific to Ladue. But if you take a look at this local lifestyle, secluded, sophisticated, Ladue delivers an unparalleled quality of life to its residents. Okay, to me, that says a whole lot of nothing, if I'm being honest. Like this whole section right here, I think you could really just take out the word Ladue and insert any other neighborhood of St. Louis instead, right? Driving around Ladue, it is impossible to not appreciate the lush, tree-lined roads, bucolic scenery, and exceptionally maintained landscaping. Again, you could say that for a lot of areas. Now, here's what's funny. I don't know where they got this content. I don't know who made it. But if we look at, let's say, website number 2, another Ladue community guide, what do we see? We see the exact same stuff. Different words, but very similar content. What to love, local lifestyle, dining, entertainment, shopping, things to do, schools. And that's it. And this is also a different real estate team, by the way. This is not the same website. And let's take a look at example number 3. Different real estate website and different words on the page, but more or less the same content. Welcome to Ladue, what to love, local lifestyle, dining, entertainment, shopping, things to do, schools. And guys, here's what I'm saying. This is the content that exists on most real estate websites. And in my opinion, it's just very bland, basic content that doesn't actually deliver a whole lot of value. Now, if you're like, okay, Jacob, you just roasted 3 of those websites. What's a better example? Let's look at this one, the Ultimate 2024 Guide to Living in Ladue. First of all, notice there's more pictures here, okay? We have more content, we have more pictures. Ladue versus Clayton, 2 neighborhoods right next to each other, but they have their differences, and that's worth talking about here. We have new money versus old money in Ladue. This is a very Ladue specific thing where there are 2 groups of people that live here. There's a lot of this very rich, old money that's been there for hundreds of years. You have these established families, and then you have this new money, typically younger families. They don't come from wealth, but they somehow acquired it, that live in Ladue. They send their kids to different school districts. They tend to hang out in different social circles, and the social network operates a little bit differently for these 2 groups of people. But the town as a whole is very well connected, and everyone knows everyone. But there's a subtle difference between these 2 pockets of people you will notice. And then we got homes in Ladue. Pictures that are homes actually in Ladue. We're not using stock images of just basic mansions that exist in who knows where, United States, okay? And we talk about all the same stuff as those previous articles. We talk about schools, we talk about things to do, but there's more content, there's more information, better pictures, and there's just more words on the page to actually help someone learn about this area. And I'm not gonna lie, an article like that is much more time intensive to make. It can be expensive if you're using writers. You have to do your due diligence, you have to fact check it, you have to go get pictures. So either you have to have a drone or you got to hire someone to use a drone. It is much harder, but that content is ultimately way better, higher quality, and it's more thorough and helpful for a potential buyer that's looking to live in that area. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are writing for humans, okay? Not search engines, not AI. And really, before you post content, I would say read it over and think to yourself, okay, if I am someone who is brand new to this area, I don't know anything in town, could I read this article and actually walk away with a decent understanding of the neighborhood and what it has to offer? Because I would argue those first 3 websites I showed you, sure, you could get maybe like a general understanding of Ladue, but you're not going to get any of that detailed, specific information. I hope this helps. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to go subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to grow this, and that helps me out tremendously. Aside from that, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.